have stolen him from years ago to Oporto, because he's from Oporto. Now he's Ana Novaes is like, that's promising, because she is from Oporto as well. But that's where he was born and where he actually started his career. In 2011, he started earlier than that, but that's when he started his project Revolta do Palato. It's like custom food events, and it's like it was an exclusive catering services that led him to Asia. So maybe you will talk to us about that. And then in 13-14, he became the head chef of the Grêmio Literário. It's a private club for those who don't know it. And in 14-17, and we actually visited him with our previous students at Herdade Esporão, right? He welcomed us in a very warm way. And so he reopened the restaurant as a head chef as well, and he focused on, maybe he's going to talk about that as well, I don't know, but in a very dynamic concept. He took advantages of all the products they were producing there in a sustainable, very sustainable way, from daily work and from the farm, and it was very, very interesting. So if you want to talk about Alentejo and another very important region of Portugal, you may please. 2017 was actually a very good year for Pedro. He was considered a new revelation chef of the year by Mesa Mercada. It's one of the guides we do have in that sense. And Esporão, the restaurant he was working with, he won the Golden Fork from another well-known and renowned, let's say, guide as well, which is Boa Casa, Boa Mesa Expresso, and was considered one of the top 10 restaurants in Portugal by Suitcase and Food Republic blog. So he was considered the following year the chef de l'avenir, which is like the chef of the future, by an International Food Academy. Now, 18 and 19, he opened his exclusive restaurant Ceia, which is a place, an interesting place with only one table for just 14 guests. Maybe we'll talk about that as well. I'm not going to talk too much about that. And these past 2 years, 19, he entered the list of world's best restaurants as in the segment of new discovery. And in 2020, he opened Cura, his last challenge so far, right? It's a new restaurant at the Ritz Four Seasons Lisbon, and is combining maybe is all this journey and all these thoughts and all these matters together. I don't know, but with another elegance, with another twist. And so welcome, Pedro. I hope you all enjoy our guest today. He's not cooking for us, but I'm sure we will be able to see something that he will share with us. I'm sure.
So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for getting into this nice meeting. I think we as cooks or chefs, whatever you prefer to call it, I like to refer myself as a cook because it's my profession, and I took my degree for that. I think chef is coming later with the responsibilities and all the projects related to. But so I think we can start from the very beginning. If you have any question or any doubts, let us know and let me know, and I'll try to answer as more promptly as possible. So, but yes, I started 12 years ago, approximately, in a restaurant called Pena in Porto. And it was I was really young. I didn't know what exactly I was into it. So I challenged myself, and I decided to try without having any degree or any cooking classes. So I literally threw myself in the arms of the devil. And so it was a hard year, but it was really nice because it got me in touch with very different types of atmospheres and and expectations that I wasn't expected. So then I decided, after that year, I decided to went to Lisbon and start a degree, and it was in 2009, 2010,
You were
2009.
my student. You were my student.
Yeah,
I
the first
remember.
year.
Very
And
good.
English, right?
Yes, always. Very good.
And then I took the degree in Estoril in Este, and at the same time I decided that I need money for my life, for to be able to fly to different countries, to try different foods, to dine at different restaurants, so I can improve myself as a cook, and I can learn. And because it's not only on books, you really need to practice, you really need to be in contact with. And I always had this idea about being a cook. It's not to be just the same. I'm not going to be a cook just to be exactly the same as the others, or with the intention of being different, but stimulating my perspective and my field, my comfort field. And by that I decided to take my own path. And so I opened a small project called Volta do Palato. MJ referred a few minutes ago. Basically, we started to do small catering events and tested ourselves as a small team of 3 members. And we did everything from the scratch, from going to cash and carry and buy all the stuff, working with small suppliers. So I started all this relationship with the sustainability and economical cycles related to the farm and agriculture 10 years ago, with that project. So it was really nice because we were able to do small events for a very small group of people, like 10, 12, 13 guests, which actually it led us to work in Saya almost 8 years ago. It was quite interesting because I wasn't expect that. But so when you start from the scratch, having your own company, you need to pay bills, you need to pay salaries, you need to pay all the consumable stuff that you have monthly, and it's quite a challenge, and it's really tough to manage everything. In some month you don't get your salary, or you don't get money enough to pay your suppliers as you should in the contract form. So but it worked. It was a great experience. But then I realized I wasn't able to sustain that myself without an investor. So I was really young, so I decided to step back and started working with bigger projects during a long term period. So I got this chance to be able to do a consultancy in Grêmio Literário, that private club that Maria José referred. Is in downtown Lisbon, and it's basically a place where you pay your fee, your annual fee, and you can frequent the place. You can be able to enjoy their services and dine with them. An amazing place, old palace, downtown Lisbon in Chiado. So basically, I started with that project, making this small company thing into a long-term consultancy without having 3 events a week or 10 events a month. So we started in a very serious way, like we need to calm down, we need to focus ourselves in one project at a time. So it led us to create nice contacts and a great network of clients that inevitably took me to a nice place called Cura in Alentejo, and they gave me the chance to reopen the restaurant that was inserted into wine tourism. So we get a lot of guests from all over the world, from USA, Canada, a lot of Brazilian, and that restaurant was refurbished and reconcepted in a shape that we were able to work with our gardens that we meanwhile, we created, we built 2 acres of an amazing garden with small herbs and veggies and everything that we didn't get from our suppliers because we were really far away. So we, to create a nice restaurant there, we force ourselves to plant and to basically work with with our hands in the soil and see those vegetables growing. So there was actually the only way to make Esporão what after 3-4 years, almost 4 years, we ended up to. That we're able to create an amazing fine dining concept that people went there on purpose from Lisbon or Porto or Algarve. So you imagine yourself making a 2-3-4 hours journey to go to a restaurant. I think we were that case, and I'm super proud of being part of that. But as any big companies with different products, they decided after those 4 years to try a different concept. So they basically shut off that concept, and now my previous sous chef, he's running the new project as a head chef. So I'm super proud. They kept the garden, and they're still working with the same suppliers. And they won the sustainable restaurant award of the year this year. So I'm super proud. So you don't get your prize by the years that you were there, but you get after. So actually it feels a little bit better because your life moved on. So um,
You planted.
definitely it was the biggest project of all until now. It was a huge restaurant with 40 seats. We had a big team. There were 12 people in the kitchen. We're open 6 days a week, plus nine staff members in the dining room, and it was quite a challenge. But to be able to not to close in the low season, because winter in Alentejo. I'm not sure if you all went to Alentejo or not, but it's quite inhospitable, and nothing happens during the winter. From I would say November to April, it's empty, and it's not pretty. But we were able to keep the restaurant going for those 4 years, and we never closed. So it was great. After that, well, I got a small incident. I got into a awful situation. I burned myself in a small explosion, but that went through, and I decided to step back a little bit and went to Porto to recover and to well, start something new from the scratch. So I took 6 months off. I went to my own town, to Porto, and suddenly in one of my trips to Lisbon in a small consultancies project, I visit this place called Santa Clara, and it ended up to be Ceia after half year. And basically I look at me, and I did a small table with 14 seats, the same principle we used 8 years ago, in the first project ever I got into it with my own money. So it was quite challenging to create a restaurant with only one table. We were the first in Lisbon to make it. There's a few in London and Paris, but in Lisbon we were pioneers. So was good to see the reaction of our guests. After 12 months, we paid the restaurant in terms of operation costs, which it's quite good. So you can have in mind, as a comparison, in Cura, so we can pay the costs, we need to wait approximately 2 years, and to finish the whole investment project, we need to wait approximately 8-9 years of operations. So we did that in 12 months in that small project. So it means that if you really focus and you don't want to have a lot of headaches, well, go small, go to a controlled project. It's easier to manage, it's easier to operate, and to establish goals with your team. rather than just be in a huge project. But you know, after 1 year, you know, Four Seasons got this project in hands, and they gave me the chance to be part of the not only the kitchen projects as the conceptual project as well. So it was, well, it's a irrefusable invitation. You can't refuse. It's just, it's once in a lifetime you have this type of opportunities, and I was in my maximum of empowerment and force. And so it was in the perfect timing, actually. Of course, I'm super lucky to be with Four Seasons right now. An amazing hotel management group that creates different opportunities to different staff. They have more than 50 hotels around the world, and this one in Lisbon, Ritz, as you, I think, all know, it's known as one of the best hotels in the country. So, well, it's super. I'm super proud to be part of that, and to able to create this Cura from the scratch, with the help of all the directions, the directors, all the managers, and even the owners of the company. So pretty much in 12 years, this is what I did. I love what I'm doing. I decided to be a cook, and I'm not sure if all in this meeting, all of you want to be cooks as well, and doing this for the rest of your life. So it's just a small period of your life that you train there, you're experiencing something different, but you need to have guts to be in this field. But if you love what you're doing, well, it's 80% of your job. It's done, because you're able to open your mind to improve yourself every day, to learn a lot, and to be humble, to say I don't know what I expect, what I believe I would. So literally you open yourself to new discoveries, to new projects, to people that you've been uh, having in your mind for years, and now you're able to work with them and to establish contact with them. So in my case, for instance, my first book ever that someone gave to me was José Vilés. A very very old book. I think it was his first book. It was like 15 years ago, 16. So I was really really young, and he was young as well. He was like 24, 25. So he didn't believe himself doing what he's doing nowadays, or even have 2 Michelin stars in Belcanto. But you know, by that time, you see a guy 12 years older than you as a mentor in a certain way, and somehow I said, like, I don't want to be like him, but I want to be with him, and I want to work with him. So because we're a very very small group of chefs in Portugal, we're about like 100, not even. Like they are in the high projects, high skilled projects. We're less than 100 for sure. So you're able to get in touch with most of them, and if you're humble enough, if you choose exactly your own difficulty challenges, I think you can make a nice career. And well, it's definitely not about the money. It's about the passion you see on your hands every day, on the ones that you feed every day. It's a instantaneous devotion, and a way of treating others. It's like having a restaurant. It's like a hospital. It's you're giving someone else pleasure, but you're taking care of them, so you're treating them with medicine, because food is medicine. And but the only different thing is they didn't went to the restaurant with physical injuries. Well, sometimes it happened, but they just went there because they want to stay better. They want to create emotions. They want to create nice atmosphere. They want to be in a social, cozy environment. They want to share it with others, with their friends. So I think it's an even better way of seeing this culinary thing. It's thinking restaurant about like hospitals. You go, you treat yourself, and you move your life. But someone left a nice a nice help me, Maria Jose, a nice stone like a rock on your path. And so my idea is to cook for others, to make others happy, of course, to make myself happy, but to leave a legacy in this world as a cook that helped Portuguese gastronomy to improve, to get better, to leave a stamp in the world of best food countries to visit. So that's pretty much why I cook, and all the reasons involved to that.
It's actually I think you were talking about sharing. It's all about sharing, and because you learn like in Saya, I could imagine. I never went to Saya, I'm sorry, but like in Saya, I could, if the idea of having a long table is the idea of sharing. For me, right? The events we had,
Yes.
we planned. Whenever we thought of a long table, it's like you can face other people and you can share things. So, but from your perspective, from the person who is actually planning all that, every day I assume you would go home with completely different experiences, because you can see the reactions and you can see how people feel and react immediately. You're not behind a kitchen, you're not behind a wall, even if it's a window, right? You're not behind a glass, right? And you're not going around, you can actually see what people are feeling in. So I think it's like a sharing moment that is really, really important, that you take a lot from that. I think it must be exhausting because you're cooking and you're like those barmen, that you listen to people
You
and
just
you
stay there
you just no,
doing
but
the same thing every night, and
but you just absorb all their experiences as well. What their experiences is also
yes,
what
definitely.
you're becoming.
But
I don't know.
yeah, talking about Seiya as a focus thing that you're referring, it was exhausting by exactly because of that. So every night, it's for us, it's the same rhythm, the same timing, the same playlists, the same centers, the same coordination, the same movements, the same dishes. Of course, we change the dishes, but in terms of logistics, we
Mhm.
worked in a sample of a menu, in a layout that was pretty much the same every night. So only the dishes and only the food changed. So some days were quite stressful because you feel yourself tired, but you need to be able to do the show. It's like being an actor, or being, when you truly believe in what you're doing, when the focus, when the main ingredient, which is the food, it's not the chef or it's not the team, the food is good, the rest of the elements, they converge into one, and they work even if you're exhausted or tired. But the experience of having one single table and be able to get in touch with so many different perspectives, personalities, 14 guests around the same table, it's not even in our home we get that. So it was quite a challenge. For some people, they were like, okay, should we start a conversation, or should we just talk about our life projects, or our family, or why we're doing in Lisbon, or the city is pretty, and blah blah blah. So there were like 10 minutes of struggling, uh, struggling emotions, and it was hard to get over it. But every day the wine helped, the dining, our staff at the dining room, Mario and Alexandre, they helped, I helped when I introduced the table. So it's quite easy to get the attentions to you. The difficult part here is to get the attentions to the food, because in a very big table, people share so much, people talk so much, then sometimes it became tough to present the wine or present the food, and you don't want just place the dish in the table and oh, this is mushrooms with foie gras and stuff. You want to contribute a little bit for the explanation and why we're serving this, or but sometimes it's just food and you just need to enjoy the moment. So, and this is me talking against myself. If you're projecting a dish so many hours, if you're planning so exhaustively a process of building a dish or a menu, you want to present it as a piece of art to be exposed on a museum, for instance. You want to have a croquis with a test explaining everything, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. You just need to place the food in the table because there are guests that they just want to eat, they don't want to be part of your explanation, and you need to accept that. But it gets quite struggling, especially for the team, for those who are new on this and they want to be in part of the explanations and to be in contact with the guests. So Saya had that uh, dark side, which was great as an evolution, as part of our evolution as a professionals, but has that dark, heavy side that every night we need to break through, um, in order to be in touch, in contact with the guests. And the final result after the 3 hours in the table, they were like amazingly surprised for the experience. And I think by that reason, our impacts during those almost 2 years were pretty much, it was pretty much bigger than we ever did in Esporão. And it was a huge help and a nice transition. So now to be in Cura doing what I am doing with the team. So it was a nice exposure. Be able to come in again to Lisbon and open my own restaurants. Uh, well, it wasn't a partnership with a company, but still, you have your share. And now being in Cura, in Riet, you have a different perspective. You, in terms of cash, of money management, cash management, cash flow, you have you are in a very safety network, and with a nice background, so you're able to be, well, this year I have the restaurant closed, everybody's in layoff, but we still stuck into this big company that doesn't get rid of us quickly. We can trust and we can be part of. So I think in any career, this must be a top, this must be a highlight, this must be a very nice and safety position. Because if now me and my team, they were now in Saya, we were totally messed up, and it would be really, really hard to to get through this whole COVID problem, because restaurants and hotels now, they're just losing money more than 80% per month. So it's like you don't even imagine the millions we're talking about. And that's why I'm always supporting small projects as bakeries or patisseries or uh, well, small cooking projects that we need to buy. We need to stay home and buy for them, because it's quite hard. And if you think about any time about opening your restaurants on your own, ask the money for the private credits to open a company and a restaurant, well, think twice, and be sure to be very, very organized with your F&B accounts, with all the small accountability, accountancy. It's a mess. If you're not organized, it's a mess. There's more than 80% of your profits, of your revenue a month, it's to pay uh, to pay salaries and costs. So the average and the margins are so low. We're talking about 17%, 15%. maximum 20%. If you think a McDonald's will do about 35%, and it's a McDonald's. So we're talking about own projects related to food. Well, just try not to mess up, otherwise it will have headaches for the rest of your life. So my my advice here is to try to do small things at a time, and keep growing until you have the right support to open your own stuff, or to be involved in a big project that can be able to give you a nice salary, and have a balanced life with a balanced schedule.
Can I ask a question related to
Sure,
that?
Anna. Sure, sure, sure.
Of course.
Oh, hi, I'm from Porto too. Uh, as the times we are living in are very exotic, and this will probably or not, that's the question that I'm about to ask. So the restaurant business is changing. Well, it has to change now at the current times due to world lockdowns and also restrictions. But do you think this kind of change will last, will outlast the current pandemic situation, and will change the future of the restaurant business, or everything's going to go back to normal and be what it was?
Well, I think this one year of COVID until now, it gave us a new sight of what will be the next 10 years. And thank you for asking that. And there's an amazing, I can share with Maria Jose, there's an amazing actually prediction for the next 10 years in F&B management. You can search Mintel 2030.
Mhm.
You should read that. It's mandatory. But basically, new project. I believe that fine dining restaurants, they have an how do you say, a privileged spot and place in the market, because we're talking about high-end restaurants,
Yeah.
very expensive. It's like watching a Champions League game. So if you're just a simple football fan of Benfica or Porto, well, you need to save money to go to that game, because it's quite expensive, the ticket. So it's an experience. So we're talking about the same thing. I think fine dining restaurants, they will not die. What I think is they will reduce the amount of costs they have monthly. So salaries, even food costs. We're forcing to work with products that they're cheaper than just foie gras or truffles, and we need to reinvent it ourselves in a certain way.
Yeah.
But I think that's the easy part. That's what we're more than used to do daily in terms of fine dining. But in terms of medium restaurants, that's, you can easily spend 40-60 euros a person if you include wine, which is a medium restaurant in Lisbon. I think you will have a few problems with that, because you need to be able to work now with takeaways, with dark kitchens, and basically, I'm not sure if you know what is a dark kitchen. It's basically a restaurant it's not existing. It
Yeah.
doesn't exist.
You can call ghost. I call it ghost kitchens.
It's ghost kitchen, exactly. So I think that's where we're going in the next years. So you have your Glovo, your Uber Eats, your Bolt Eats, those three main
But there's
companies that provide
lots of them in the world. So
what?
there are much more than that in the world. Like
There's plenty of them.
no, but even I think like Deliveroo, for instance, is not working in Portugal, but I think it will soon, and I think it's going to be a lot of changing in that.
And you have a big problem because it's not curated. So there's not a precise selection of the quality of the restaurants they're
But
into.
that's I think the apps curate themselves in a
Exactly.
sense of the review. So when you order for a new restaurant that you don't know, you're gonna automatically check the reviews and see how many stars, and so they are kind of doing the work for you. But then there's a lot of mafia in that as well, because then if you have bad reviews, then you ask your friends. I mean, it's very complicated, but
It is. But I think as for instance, 11 Medicine Park, we're going to do in Cura in the next month. In the next month, it's not next month, but maybe April, May. I hope we can start doing takeaway
yeah,
and home delivery, but in a different shape. It's
yeah.
not only like grabbing our disconstructive dish, so you need to heat the sauce on the microwave, no, that's not the idea. So what I want to do is to basically, of course, I can't reveal exactly what it is, because
Yeah,
it,
surprise. Yeah.
it's not only about surprise. It's small things that make your business give you money. So it's a matter of respect for your own job. But imagine, like, if you have a croquis of how to plate a dish,
Yeah.
or how
Yeah.
to season
Instruction manual.
instruction, but in a nice box, in a nice way,
Yeah, I mean, there's
with
a
imagine you offer a bread, but you also offer a small temperature pan and a recipe and a small baneton, so you be able to repeat that bread. So I think we need to be proactive and extend the experience beyond the
Sorry,
food.
can I interrupt you? Will that experience increase the cost of the plate or not?
Well, it's a matter of cost management.
Okay.
Well, if I say that I can sell we have squids with seaweed butter sauce and caviar and even gold petals on top. So we sell that in the restaurant for 32 euros, 32, and it's a very expensive dish to produce, and we're talking about 32% of food costs, and we need to sell it for 32 euros.
Yeah.
Things are expensive.
No, I know. I'm just
Super
thinking,
expensive.
like, if
So no,
you add stuff for
you
the
will no. Let me just finish. Sorry. So what I'm saying is, we grab that dish and we take the dining room service part, which is like 15% of the cost.
Okay.
And for that 15% of the costs, we're able to use, like, imagine 7.5% in the
Makes
packaging.
sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
The packaging. So we're getting money. We're making money. We're reducing the total the price of the products. So it's easy for our guests at home to order it, because they see that we decrease the prices, and at the same time we improve the portions, because to put 20 or 40 grams of some products, it's not actually the big cost of the dish, because we're talking about hand labor that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So we need to reinvent ourselves, and to stimulate our clients to buy our products with a different perspective, in a different experimental way, because you don't have the sense, you don't have the music, you don't know at what temperature is the room that you're serving the food, because it's not your restaurant, it's guest's house, it's client's house. So, or you go there and you create your own experience, which actually people, they're not open to that because of all the COVID restrictions.
No, I don't think so.
So in 1 year, I did a private dinner last year, in 1 year. And I used to be, requisited for many a year, and only happened once. So people are actually afraid. I am afraid. I don't want to gather a lot of people in my house, especially now.
Yeah.
We need to be really careful. So I think it's time for people cook more, and we need to think about strategies. Maybe it's not the fancy dining thing that we offer in Cura, but could be fancy in a different way, in packaging, in surprise. When you open a box and you find a small box and a small box and another box, and all of them together, they create a nice of, it's like having the best present ever for the Christmas or for your anniversary. And so I I think nobody knows what to expect exactly, but we are making our efforts to reboot ourselves and to make different stuff.
Because I'm very interested in this subject, and from what I read, and I actually read a lot about this, the impacts of the pandemic, and actually when the COVID hit, I was working for a Michelin star restaurant in Lisbon. So, I mean, I know how heartbreaking it is. So one of the things that I've read is that the business in the restaurant business, the ones who have the most impact is fine dining.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for that.
No, no.
But I mean, it's really strange because in the other crisis, when was the 2008 crisis, fine dining was the least affected, and now in this one is the more affected.
Exactly.
So it's very strange
Because
how.
it's difficult to, we depend a lot on visits. We depend a lot on you visit our
Yeah,
space.
I think the experience, right?
The experience to sit on the table, to feel the temperature of the table, to feel the textures, to feel the atmosphere, the concept, and of course the food. So we don't know what's going to happen. I believe, because we opened the restaurants in September, end of August actually, and
This year, 2020 then.
2020. And it was a surprise because we were full. Only 2 days we got with no reservations.
Wow, that's amazing.
Only 2 days. And the rest of the days we were about 80% occupation average. So it's perfect. We need 60% to cover our costs. So our average was 80%. It was perfect. It was okay. We covered our monthly expenses. And now there's the problem. So I have my team at home paying layoff, so I'm still paying salaries, but I don't have the restaurant open. So each month you need 3 months to cover 1 month of closing. So if we're closing on January, if we close on February, only in June those 2 months are covered. So it's that's where it's well, that's where, sorry the expression, that's where the shit happens.
No, yeah, that's very, very fucked up.
It's not funny at all. It's a lot of money. And of course we have hits on top of it, but you feel the pressure every day because you have the responsibility when as soon as the restaurant open again, we need to, I don't know, we need to make all the efforts to put money again in the project.
As you said, this is the time to reinvent yourself. Like everybody's reinventing themselves. And I think as devastating as it might sound now, because you're in the middle of it, I think a lot of good stuff will come and you will survive and reborn after this.
I hope so. I'm
to
sure.
end on a positive note.
I'm sure. Last case scenario, we're gonna all open a nice deli with nice buns and breads and small cost production products with tasty pleasure and nice revenue. Well, that's the thing. But for you, it would be a nice project if you like to cook, to start small things from home. like healthy treats with low fats, low sugar. People stay at home a lot of time now, so
Lactose free.
lactose free, all that thing. Well, but that's a huge market for that, especially in Lisbon. People searching for that. I'm not into it, so I don't need that now. But well, in the future, if I need, I will go to that. And I'm still cooking, so I'm gonna be happy anyway. So, but that's it's gonna be a even tougher year than last year. But I believe that we got so many good feedbacks and reviews. Uh, Apparently we were considered the best new restaurant in Lisbon or in Portugal or whatever, and so it means that it went well. So I believe this year, as soon as we open, we have our house full every day. But the same thing might be full, but we need at least half a year to pay 3 months.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Good luck.
So yeah, it's that's life. We need to reinvent ourselves and adapt.
Do you have any further questions? Any other questions, issues?
Yes. May I teach? Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Hello.
Hello.
I have two questions. First, I want to ask if it's if it's a good time to start something like of course it depends on what's that something, but if you think it's a good time to start a project, a business, and what to do and
Depends on the business.
Yeah, of course.
I think a standalone restaurant open to the street right now, I think it's not a good idea. I think not even the bank accept the credit for that, because everything's closed and there's no, they will not see any advantage on that. But well, creating something that could operate online, and you're automatically reducing labor costs at minimums. So it's only you and you, and well, you control everything. You don't have to pay a lot of salaries because you operate online. So that's what I was saying about dark kitchens. If it's a nice idea to open a dark kitchen right now, or a ghost kitchen, yes, definitely. Could be a pastry, could be something else that you work with the delivery teams. There are more than 10 companies now doing that. And if your project is good, if the food is good, I think it will see results soon, because it's low investment and it's very reduced staff costs, and you only need to control pretty much the food costs. So you can imagine even Galp, they're now searching for places and old mosques and places, big warehouses in Lisbon, so they can create different dark kitchens with different chefs. So even those big companies, they need to get into the consumption markets as soon as possible. And you see the example of the masks, people starting new masks design projects since last year February, because they saw that people were running for it and they were searching for that. So I think we need to read the consumers' minds and try to understand exactly or approximately which type of project would work during this pandemic thing.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't just follow our technical dreams, as I used to say, for our trainees that starts in the restaurant. They only work. They at the first day they want to plate the dishes and to make everything nice and pretty with the tweezers and the spoons. And we can't just satisfy our desire. We need to look further and search for devotion in different aspects. So of course, I would like to open my own restaurant, but well, that's not the reality. We need to be happy doing something else, and we need to learn to be happy doing that thing. It's the third world war. So what happened with our grandparents 90, 80 years ago, it's happening now with us. So we need to be reinvented. There's a silent virus going on, and well, nothing protects ourselves for in like 10 days one of us being contact with the virus. So it's always a good time to open projects, but we need to be careful, reduce the cost at maximum, and trying to make profitable choices and with low impact on our pockets, basically.
Okay, thank you. The second question, how was your participation in the project of Tiago Velhinha Pereira, the Esporão and Comida Portuguesa à Custa dela própria? Do you remember that project? How was it? And because I'm like fascinated about that project. If you can talk a little bit about that.
About the project, about Tiago's project?
Yeah.
So Tiago, basically, he's a cultural curator that grabs music and food and combine those two amazing elements into one. And basically, he traveled around our beautiful country in order to search the most typical, pure traditions and cultures, talking with old people that still doing, for instance, the traditional sounds with the instruments, or the smoked cured meats in traditional fumeiros that you see in Minho and Trás-os-Montes. So Tiago is an amazing curator for those projects. Esporão reached him and contacted him, I think, about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I can't talk too much. I'm sorry, because I'm not into the project anymore.
Okay,
but the only thing I know that it was a supportive team. Basically, Esporão support Tiago and help him to deliver that curatorship to our country. And I was part of 2 or 3 episodes, as well other chefs did. But it was that. So if you have the chance, I think you need to follow Tiago on that project.
Yeah, I follow a little bit. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, doubts?
I have one, teacher.
João, yeah, sure.
First, I have to thank Pedro this amazing food talk about your work. I'm sure it was a kind of a roller coaster. Now that you are working with a new project, that you are not the main leader to the project.
I'm listening to you. Sorry.
If I'm not mistaken, Professora Maria João referred to a project which was Revolta do Palato. Can you tell us more about it?
Mm-hmm.
So Revolta do Palato, yeah, it was my first project among 2 friends of mine, and we started during the first year of EST. So I was living alone in Lisbon for not even 1 year. So we decided we put some euros in the table, and we decided to open a company without any comprehension about business or F&B management. Any case. So we joined the money, we opened a company, and we started to sell ourselves as a customized food event company. And then I realized that, okay, you really need to improve yourself quickly and learn quickly in order to deliver goodness in a very solid way and professional way. So basically, we jumped out of the water with any shell. So we had to adapt and create our shell quite fast. So for that, I think I run to the opportunity of making internships in like Belcanto or Feitoria or at the Ledbury in London. That somehow it wasn't a pursuit of a dream, but at the same time it was a need. So I was able to cook better and to deliver a better product to our guests. And then we started well, sell ourselves using the weapons that by that time there were like Facebook, Instagram. There wasn't a big thing. So now definitely we would use Instagram instead, but we used Facebook. We talked with the small magazine teams, new photographers, people in the fields, journalists. So we basically we sell ourselves, and we started as small partnerships. For example, we did the second See Me, the restaurant See Me in Calçada do Combro. They were part of the Peixe em Lisboa, so fish. Maria Jose, help me with that. It's a food festival in Lisbon. You remember Peixe em
Yeah.
Lisboa?
It's
Yeah.
done in Pavilhão Carlos Lopes.
Yeah, nowadays it is. Yeah.
Nowadays it is.
Yeah,
So
it started-
basically, yeah, we offered our services to a restaurant to represent them in that event. And we knew that it was a way to meet new people and to establish important contacts. You create your own network with your own strategy, and there's nothing bad about it, but you need to be careful not to lose your humbleness or your great attitude. So it was that. So it was a nice project, and we decided to quit that project by the time that Sporão offered me this the position of head chef of the new restaurant they really wanted to reshape and create. So by that time I closed the company, because you had 3 salaries to pay, a rent to pay of the office, and the small installations that we had to produce the food, and all the consumable costs that we had monthly. So we started to shut down the company. Actually, you're talking about that, and I found the first business cards we
Very
did.
good. Mhm.
Yeah, we paint like an onion and stuff. So we didn't had money to ask any designer to make it for us. So we basically we created ourselves that. There was the business. This was the business one. So yeah, it was nice. It's part of the business. I never basically. I had a different career than other chefs and cooks. I never cooked for anyone, just in internships and small working periods. But I never had a chef that I say it's my mentor. I worked for him for 10 years or 12 years, and it didn't happen. So I basically I create my own bubble of food creation, of responsibility, of devotion, and also mental problems, because it gives you a lot of headaches. But it feels so much better, like sleeping in your bed that was paid by your projects, and you don't need to you don't need to worry about anything. You make your own decisions and your own suggestions to improvements. So for those during those 4.5 years, it was really important. Now I believe I need a more solid cash flow, and I need to focus myself in this big project. So I don't have any interest on invests on my own restaurants, or and especially now during COVID, I don't see any advantage on that. So maybe when this is all gone, I create a small project or from home or whatever. But now that's it.
Pedro, would you like to hear their opinion on your designed cards? Because most of them are designers. So
Actually
maybe.
not, but you know what?
What about the onion? But what was about the onion? Is it because of the layers and you can peel and you get to the core of the issue?
This was this is ridiculous. We did this in paint.
Oh, right, like you draw it. You drew it and then you painted yourself.
Yeah, I painted myself with like and then we put it on the on the program that basically shape all those small lines. And but why I mean
program, right?
Sorry?
Use paint, the program paint.
Paint.
Well,
Exactly.
I used to use that when I was like 12.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. That's the thing. And you know what? It never let us out of money in any month. So
no, I think it looks great. I think
it does.
I think we need to take the advantage of use the small and apparently not useful resources to make them useful. But yeah, why onion? Because onion, it's the cheapest product you can buy in the kitchen, and probably is the only one that you can easily can create so many different textures and layers of flavor, from sweet to salty to pickled to fermented. And it's the most stinky thing that makes you cry. So I think it's the most versatile vegetable ever, if you think.
yeah.
Right? That's
And
a good
From tears to joy to, well, it's...
And the cooks are known as queimas bolas.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You can see this big scar I have.
Yeah.
It was in the last week of Esporão. It was 10 spots. It was peeling an onion. So it's after 10 years of career, you cut yourself peeling an onion. So it's always with us.
All right, very good. Can I ask a question if you don't mind?
Of course.
Yeah, because today I'm going to talk to some of these friends here about food tourism. I mean, in terms of wine tourism, because you were in Esporão, and Esporão is known for the wine, but also for olive oil. Actually, when we were there, we had wine tasting and olive oil tasting, which is something a bit different and people are not that used to. And that was actually, for me, it was so interesting. So, but were there tours? How did it work? Did you get any of those ideas, or were you supposed to use that olive oil and match, or would you create the menu and then you use the olive oil? The same with wine pairing or anything else.
Exactly. So it's quite a challenge to create food combinations when the starting point is products like wine or olive oil or spirits or liquors, because people don't feel the alcohol in the same way from person to another. As salt, as sugar, as acidity. Alcohol is it's something that preserves flavors. So it's not good to start with alcohol or olive oil in order to produce a food pairing. So it's better if you shape your own menu and then use alcohol or olive oil or spirits or juices, for instance, to adapt that menu. And in terms of creativity, well, it's better to rely on food rather than drinks, because you're more easily running out of a specific product that's a type of drink or fruit. So, but in Esporão, we created our own olive oil for the restaurants in the same way I did in Ceia and now in Cura. The only difference now, we are using my olive oil that I produce with my brothers. It's only 300 liters a year, so it's quite very small production, quite exclusive. But in Esporão, we were able to went to the lagar, to the olive mill, and to blend the different types of varieties of olives in order to create an olive oil that just enhance all the foods details and flavors. So
And
able to do that, it's quite nice to see the difference, because it's oil, and it's so hard to taste oils, because the oil just create like a smooth surface on your tongue. You only feel the acidity because it dries out the mouth. If you try to soak a bread in olive oil and keep eating it for like 10 minutes, you will see that your tongue, especially if the olive oil is quite new, you can see that your tongue gets super dry. It's because of all the acidity that the olive oil has, or that specific oil. And that acidity, it's not related to acetic or citric or ascorbic or malic acids. It's or tartaric acids. It's related to acid fats. So it's a different type of acid. And so the experience of tasting, of doing different olive oil tastings, it's so hard. It's much harder than tasting a wine, because it's water. Just do a sip of water, or you smell a bit of coffee, and all the aromas went away. Olive oil is different. So it's quite a challenge. If you have the chance to try, I would definitely recommend. And Esporão, I believe they're one of the best. For me, they're the best of olive oil production, definitely in Portugal, and probably one of the best in the world. They have an amazing conditions to produce it, with temperatures, and they're very laboratorial in terms of the way they do things. So it's definitely a place to visit when this all
it's over. Can I ask you, I have two questions for you, Pedro, because we have here students from culinary arts and gastronomy, but also the students from design and other backgrounds. And the first one is, I would like you to explain a little bit how it works, your creative process when you have to create a new dish or a menu. And after that, I would like for you to give us your opinion about what you think about this relationship between in food, culinary arts, gastronomy, and design, because we have now existing plenty of designers working with food and working with chefs, especially abroad. I don't know if this happens here in Portugal, but that's my two questions for you.
Okay, let's talk about the first one, and then I will ask you to ask me again the second one. Okay.
Okay, sure.
So
then
first
we have
one,
João. Don't forget, we have another question from João. All right.
João
Sorry.
Pereira.
Yeah, he asked the question, but,
Okay.
but don't worry.
Okay, so
Well,
quite easy on the creativity process. As you imagine, it's something that I need to take out from my pockets, not every day, but every week, when we create different dishes or menus. Or imagine black trumpets, they're off season, and it's like suddenly they don't tell you, because it's nature that's in demand. So the guy that picks the mushrooms, they don't predict, they don't know if it's going to rain or not, if it's going to be mushrooms next week or not. So when a product is over, sometimes it's over, and you need to act quickly in order to keep the consistency of the menu and not change the whole thing. So we have a few tools to help us doing that. So it's like 4 pillars, which is the first one. It's seasonality. But I would say, I'm sorry, the first one, first of all, it's where the restaurant are, what involves the restaurant, traditions and culture. So location, it's really important, so we can create a nice menu from the scratch. So imagine if a client asks you for a menu, to develop a menu for a special event. So first thing is which type of client, what he wants, what he's paying for, which is the location, which type of atmosphere can I create. So location, concepts of the place, it's really the first pillar from my strategy. The second one is sustainability and seasonality. So working with local and seasonal products, it's really important. Third one, it's the combination between them. So which type of products that's in season, they combine well with others. And the fourth one is the aesthetic parts. So all the design that goes to the dish. So those four pillars, those four steps, they are our main guidelines. So every day we can work in a better way, in a more consistency way. And I can send you our amendments, our kitchen statements that we have stuck into the wall, so everybody can read every day and don't forget where they are or what they work for. I can show you those after. But basically, creativity parts for us, it's how it works. So location, products in season, a combination between them, and the aesthetic parts. And why it comes, the aesthetics come in the end, because if you believe that you're creative yourself and with your team, it won't be hard to produce a beautiful dish with few elements. So don't put the aesthetics first, because you're going to lose flavor and you're going to lose all these really important steps that make the food and the concepts shines brighter. So I believe it's our best way to explain you.
Mhm.
And now related to João Pereira question. Sorry,
Yeah.
my microphone is on. Maria, you want to make the question?
Yeah. He would like to know if you think that this time we're living in pandemic, when everything is closed in terms of restaurants, is it a good time to invest in research and development departments? Because in Portugal, it is a concept that is underdeveloped somehow, like Craveral and Paparico restaurants. Do you think this is a good time? It's a good opportunity to rethink things, right? But
Definitely. I don't believe, I'm sorry to, I don't believe Craveral and Paparico are good examples on this question. Although I think that yeah, it's always nice to grab the project right now and to reinvent it and to reshape it and make some small adjustments in different departments. But I don't believe Portugal it's underdeveloped. I think we're definitely one of the best countries to be able to expose our gastronomic culture, and we're growing a lot and we're growing with different directions. What I think it's happening in Paparico restaurant, which is an amazing restaurant in Porto, is that sometimes the management, it's not the most accurate and not the most focused on in the way that I believe they should. But this is an opinion that you can converge or diverging, depends on the chefs and who you're talking to. But for example, Craveral, it's a project related to Alexandre Silva with Loco and Fogo and Mercado da Ribeira, and it's an amazing project. It's growing a lot. They have their own farm. Even last week they create their own greenhouse. So it's working. It's running. It's now time to reinvent a little bit ourselves. I'm now, by next week, I'm gonna put my menus in Cura on the table and repaint them again. So restructure them again in order to adapt, because now we're in a different season. So we closed last month. We're gonna open maybe in March or April. We're not sure yet. So it's new season. It's it's spring, so we have asparagus, we have peas, we have artichokes, we have the first green peppers, we have corn, we have the first fragrant flowers like elderflower, we have the first strawberries. So it's the best season in the year. And we still have a lot of winter projects like cabbages or game, small game like wild ducks or wild pigeons or hares. So it's a time to it's a nice time to stop and rethink conceptually about the projects. I think Paparico must do it. I think Craveral, they're doing perfectly well. They just need tourism. And well, that's what we all need now. So
we're going to have that at 7 o'clock here with some of the students on food tourism. So let's wait for that. I don't know if you have any further questions. Yes, you do. Anna. Yes, Anna. Hello, Anna.
Hello. So, Pedro, how do you describe your identity?
Jana. Pedro.
you left the hardest question to the end.
Yes, of course. And it's like that, all surprises.
I do protect a lot myself from my roots and origins. I don't like to be the center of the attention when I'm presenting the food. I think the food must win the prize, and you know, the chef is someone that behind is coordinating all the orchestra and the team of instruments and hands and tweezers. And well, I have a lot of traditions. I have a lot in me from my my parents and my grandparents from the countryside in Tomar, in Ribatejo. So being connected with garden and all the production thing of animal creation and plants and vegetables plantations, it's something that's always run through my veins. So although I'm in the city, it's something that I didn't forget, and I never forget. That's why I kept this connection to the small producers and suppliers. And it's sustainable at all. It's something that you need to respect in order to create a better future for all of us and for the restaurant area. So the restaurant industry, sorry. My identity is that it's a chef that love to go to the countryside in the weekends to get the hands dirty, to quit sometimes the pans and to grab a hammer and making some carpentry and some wood work, and a lot of sports, a lot of music. I play drums when I'm off, and some guitar. So I consider myself a art guy because I like to create things, and I like to create projects and senses and establish new dots of pleasure between people. So well, I can't describe myself in a word. I leave it for you, but I think I'm devoted to what I'm doing, to the food. That's it.
I think you have planted some seeds. But Anna,
well, let me ask you, since you started, how long do you think it takes to get an identity? In your case?
Oh, I think it was in Espolão, after the second year in Espolão. So 4 years ago.
Okay.
Sorry, 5 years ago. 5 years ago.
Okay.
Definitely.
So it makes 7 years without one, or without one defined.
Well, it took 7 years to create one.
Yes.
Definitely.
Okay.
Well, it could, you know, it would be worse if it took 20 years. So I think we need to force ourselves in order to get our own identity and with your own identity, it comes your own integrity as a human being also. You get more responsible. Well, so it's, you accept new challenges as in a different with a different attitude.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thank you, Pedro.
I
Well,
think Ricardo had a
yeah.
question.
Yeah, Ricardo, did you have any? Ricardo, he's having a class at 4, so I don't know if he went
Okay.
prepare. But well, but we do have your contact, so if you need anything from Chef Pedro, I'm sure he will help you out and answer any other doubts or questions, or if you want to talk to him, I'm sure he's available, right, Pedro?
You can send email, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. I have a final question for you, if you don't mind. How hard is it to be out of the box?
I think it was never the first
Goal
first
to be
goal,
out of the box.
no, it was never. I think being out of the box, it's a consequence in many cases. In other cases, it's identity. Not in my case. I focus myself in the whole picture, in great combinations in flavor, some wow factor. But I'm not the guy. I'm not the wow factor guy in terms of presentation or chemical elements like liquid nitrogens and spherifications. Although I've worked with those a few years ago, it's not my thing. But I'm more focused on responsible methods of putting an ingredient on the table and contribute with your own government to improve the quality of our food in our country, in our diet every day. That's more my goal. And well, the restaurant is just a showcase. It's a flagship. It's the ultimate experience of all that's combined together. In terms of materials that's why Cura calls Cura, because Cura stands for heal, for treating others, for religious manners, for curator, for gathering putting all the arts together, from materials to the ceramics, the glasses, the tableware, to the dish itself, to the food itself. So that's my goal. I think that's not the
That doesn't mean you're out of the box, because the box could be everything else, right? That is so common. So
I can't consider myself out of the box, but I think honestly it's going to be a consequence. If you do an amazing job, if people watching your restaurant, if they love your food, well, you're out of the box. You're showing something new and something good. And sometimes new doesn't mean good. So when it's new, it should be good. It should be delicious. But food just should be delicious. And well, sometimes what is new is small details that running through the menu, like changing a texture here or a flavor there, or an acid detail in that dessert. That is a wow factor, and that's what changed sometimes the whole picture, and that's the out of the box thing. Otherwise, if our restaurant was 100% out of the box, people get tired of it, and we want people to finance our projects, to be able to come back again 3, 4, 5 times in a year. And we opened 4 months ago and 5 months ago, and we got more than 5, 6 visits from the same guests, from much of the guests that came. More than 20 guests came more than 5 6 times. So it represents a lot, especially in a restaurant that you pay more than 150 euros a person. So the food must be good and the service must be good.
Who goes there, Pedro? Is it national people, international people?
It started to be much more national. I would say 80% national, and now in January, because we had, you know, restrictions in flights, there was a lot of private jets that stayed in Lisbon for this whole pandemic thing. So there are a few people with a lot of money that actually they're living in some hotels or some boutique residence, and they're able to spend that amount in these experiences. So I would say August, September, October, 80% national, 20 international. From November to January, it would be like 50% national, 50 international, which is amazing because, well, 50% national guests, it's amazing without tourism. So
yeah, very good.
I'm being super humble when I tell you that thank God the restaurant is working, because there's a lot of restaurants that they were closed while we were opening. The case of Feitoria, for instance, they have a Michelin star and they need to close the restaurant while we are open and full of guests.
Yeah.
And it's not because of the hotel, because the hotel has, I can even show you, we're like 2%, 3% occupation right now.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
So I can't complain myself. I'm super proud of what we've been doing. Let's hope that this next year would open more doors and bring more guests.
And we can go there and visit you. I know at least Ana Rodrigues already went and visited you. So yeah. She did. so there you go. Did you like it?
I didn't hear.
Did you like it?
Yes, I did.
All right, very
well,
good.
Well, you can tell now everything. So people are...
We're still recording, Pedro. All right. Okay. Well, let me thank you, Pedro, and all of you who had the time to come here. Our next food talk is with another chef, actually. So, Pedro, if you want to join us, we can send you the link as well. It's with a Spanish chef, and it will be in 2 days on Wednesday at 2:00, right, Ricardo?
Yes.
Food Talk 19.
Thank you so much, all.
Thank you, Pedro. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. Obrigado, Maria José, Ricardo. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Obrigado,
Thank you.
Pedro.
Thank you.
Bye.
Obrigado. Raquel, depois responde. Obrigado.
Oh, Raquel.